Edgar Allan Poe, The Black Cat. What is that prompts a man to surround himself with beast folk? Perhaps it is a need to reaffirm his superiority, perhaps as a reminder of his bestial origins. We lived, my wife and I, for a number of years in a quiet town in the mountains. Here, we love and care for our menagerie. Rabbits, birds, goldfish, we love them all, with an ardor that only the true animal lover could understand. In our favorite, all of our pets, was Pluto, a fine, large, handsome black cat. We loved the cat completely, and as time wore on, he seemed to return our affection. He took a particular liking to me, making my love his permanent throne, even following me through the streets on my daily walks. At first, I welcomed his constant presence, and we became a familiar sight at the taverns. I was one to frequent, then, little by little, my black companion began to grate on my nerves. I found myself turning away. When I realized his eyes were upon me, I ignored his purrs and trembled with disgust at his loathsome caresses. Before long, my careful abundance turned to dread loathing, and finally, "Keep away from me," felt the best. To outright hate. "Keep away, damn you!" Then, one night feeling unusually kindly, due no doubt to the great quantities of wine I'd consumed, "Here, kitty, kitty, kitty." The cat seemed to sense my intoxication and avoided my approaches. "Here, Pluto, come by." Ah! In a drunken rage, I snatched the beast up and took it a penknife from my pocket. "Filthy loathsome monster, I will teach you!" and cut its eyes out. At first, my insane action revolted me, and I sank into the deepest of despair and remorse. But at length, as the cat recovered, an icy rage began to burn in my heart. For the beast, as might well be expected, now carefully avoided me. This thing that once had loved me, its master and protector, now shrank away as from a leper. My remorse and my hatred began to boil, to bleed into one another, giving birth to a finely developed spirit of perverseness. I missed no opportunity to taste and taunt the dread creature. His very presence goaded me into every conceivable atrocity. Then, one morning, I slipped a noose about his neck, and with tears streaming from my eyes, hung it from the line of a tree. That very night, I was roused from sleep by cries of fire. Fire! It was only with the greatest difficulty that we escaped. To stand in the chill of midnight and watch our hopes, our dreams, our lives die in the violent conflagration. On the morning following the blaze, I beset the still smoldering ruins of the house. One of the one remaining wall, as if carved in bas relief, was the image of a gigantic cat, perfect to the tiniest detail. There was a rope around the creature's neck. So affected was I by these events that I began to lose myself more and more to the dubious comfort and solace of a liquor. In time, the dull blade of remorse again sawed me, too painfully at my heart. My regrets, instead of becoming forgotten, grew more acute. I found myself longing for another cat to replace the poor creature I'd used. And then, one night, in a dirty smoke-filled tavern, I found it. No one laid claim to the animal, and with a little coaxing it followed me home. It wasn't till the following day that I discovered that the beast had but one eye. We quickly became the best of friends. Our mutual affection seemed a touch of welcome warmth in our new house, and for a while at least, all became as happy as before. Then, to my shame and horror, the beast began to affect me adversely. He took to purring unnecessarily, rubbing at my legs, even fastening his his claw in my clothing, and clambering up to cover my face with the loathsome mews and lappings. Lang, my love for the creature soared to an absolute dread. A cold sweat between my brow and violent tremble attending my lumps whenever he passed near. And to hate then, my loathing of the beast was the contrast of the spectre of my wife's boundless affection for it. The thought that she could love so freely, the thing which was destroying my soul. Then one day, my wife asked me to accompany her to the cellar on the Sound errand. Halfway down the stairs, the cat, in walking with me in and out between my feet, caught its tail under my shoe, and in jumping threw me heavily to the floor. Upon recovering myself, my hand fell upon an axe, which I immediately raised to chop the damned beast into oblivion. My wife, however, intervened, throwing a protective arm about the animal. In a rage more than demoniacal, I altered my aim and buried the axe in her brain. This hideous murder accomplished, I set myself forthwith and with the entire deliberation to the task of concealing the body. There was a shallow projection of one wall, a false chimney, perhaps, that had been filled in and made to resemble the rest of the cellar. With a crowbar, I broke away the plaster and removed the loosely 50 bricks, until I had excavated a large hole. With great difficulty, I dragged the body to the wall and secured it with the tomb. Then, mixing a touch of a mortar, proceeded to lay the bricks back in place. In several hours, the work was done. Fresh plaster spread and everything again as it was. Of the cat there was no sign. The beast must have fled in terror at my violence. For the first time in months, I slept soundly. After 4 days, the police came to inspect the premises. They subjected the entire house to every manner of rigorous investigation, and when they at last had finished and were about to leave, the triumph of my hair was too strong to be restrained. Gentlemen, I delight in having allayed your suspicions. I wish you well. By the by, gentlemen, this is a very well constructed house. I might say, an excellently constructed house. These walls. A scream came from behind the wall. In an instant, they were at the wall, tearing out the plaster, prying loose the bricks. I had walled the monster out within the tomb.